Dr. Lorelei Walker graduated from the Elena Morris Leadership Program in 2013 when she was in the final stages of her PhD program at the University of Washington. Lorelei is a woman who felt passionate about an issue, studied diligently as a graduate student to absorb all the knowledge she could, sought out training to lead and lift others, and then applied it all. She is currently the Program and Administrative Manager at Collaborative on Health and Environment, also known as CHE, an organization committed to protecting the health of communities from environmental hazards. She is engaged in our community and pays it forward as an active member of the Leadership Program's Alumni Network. Please join me in welcoming our alumna speaker, Dr. Lorelei Walker.
I am deeply honored to be invited to speak in this space to tell my story tonight. I am a graduate of the Elena Morris National Education for Women's Leadership Program. Now, as I tell my story, know that mine is just one of many, and that of my cohort, those before me, and those that followed all have powerful stories of how leadership training was a transformative point in our lives, a moment when we changed. So my sister and I grew up in rural Pennsylvania, a small town called Biglerville, and our family taught dance and gymnastics to many of the county's children who didn't have resources, whose parents suffered the ills of rural life, pesticide exposure, hard labor, financial stress, housing instability, and discrimination, to name a few. Now, this was during the time of the Human Genome Revolution, when the national discourse claimed that we were going to find a gene for every social illness. The science was captivating and inspiring, and it inspired my interest in STEM. But every day I saw people struggling to get by in a system that was broken, and I knew a STEM career alone was not going to solve this problem. So through an MPH and a PhD program at the University of Washington, I learned how our environment flows through us, how it leaves its mark in its wake, and how that fosters chronic disease. I learned how our experiences have epigenetic implications that shape our behaviors, our thought processes, our connections, and our communities. With this appreciation, I came to the Health Equity Circle. This is a community of health sciences students. So these are your doctors, your nurses, your pharmacists, your public health professionals, your dentists, your social workers. All of us who believe that health is more than healthcare. We practice the skills of community organizing to stand with local communities and act on social pressures to bring us closer to health equity. Unfortunately, at the time, the Seattle chapter was fragmented and critically low in leadership, and I wanted it to flourish. I realized its potential for social change, but how? I hardly understood the politics and the culture and the world I wished to navigate. This is exactly when I found the Elena Morris Leadership Program. Now, this is a week-long, intense program where 30 students who identify as women come together to learn how to be leaders and to learn to lead from where we stand. Because it was a safe and trusting space, we could be vulnerable, expressing our experiences of a society that had been oppressive and dominating and invalidating. In this space, women with experience leading in government and nonprofits and business, they showed us how to believe in ourselves, to be confident, to stand by our convictions. From sun up to sundown, they engaged us, trained us, helped us to authentically get to know ourselves. We started the week unsure, unclear, and isolated. We ended the week confident, empowered, and inducted into the strong and vibrant, dedicated community. So I want to introduce you to some of the many amazing women who were empowered by this leadership training with me. Jessica Cafferty ran for city office while pregnant, demonstrating the courage to stand for young families. Lena Sarapai. Leanna is now the program's liaison at the Office of the Chief Justice at the Republic of Kenya. Inspired by her leadership training at that institute, she's starting a leadership training program of her own. Kate West. Kate is ensuring trust is upheld when working with researchers working with vulnerable communities, and Corey Snelson became the executive director of the Tenants Union of Washington State to act on housing injustice. Lori Tran, the daughter of a single mother refugee from Vietnam, is now the board director of the Tenants Union and was awarded the Bill Emerson Hunger Fellowship. Heather Tilley is pushing for pharmacists to be community resources, and there are so many more stories. The women in these cohorts are forever connected. We have each other to navigate interview questions like, so, are you gonna have a baby? We review resumes. We network each other with employers. Our cohort has become a connective tissue that holds us together in courage, strength, and the resolve to pursue our goals. And when things get difficult, I have this vibrant community to remind me that I matter, I am a leader, and I will make the world a better place. So I left that week feeling comfortable in my own skin for the first time in my life. Immediately after, I decided to dig in and to lead from where I stand and spearheaded a new Health Equity Circle course at the University of Washington to train graduate students on leadership and community organizing. Having trained over 80 students, we've built partnerships with community leaders, local political representatives. Our students fought and won a campaign to bring Tent City 3 to the UW campus. Yes. And we were instrumental in an educational campaign to teach almost 4,000 King County residents the importance of public health funding. I proudly serve on 2 nonprofit boards, living out my calling to act on social justice and build community resilience. And I also sit on a National Institute of Health working group to ensure community voices are at the center of genomics research. Since graduating from the program, I've been on the lookout for new leaders, and I've recruited at least half a dozen more into the program, and I've watched them transform. They've become mentors to the next cohort. And to everyone who supports this program, I could not have dreamed or acted on these opportunities without you. So before I leave, I'd like to whisper in your ear and convey some of the wisdom I learned from this leadership program. Confidence is not arrogance. Apologetic is often unnecessary. Robert's rules can be understood, and a formal meal does not have to be intimidating. You have strength, you have value, you can change the world by standing in it. You have us, and we have you. So we have a duty to cultivate and invest in those around us, especially young women finding their feet and finding their way. We can build a path through today's barriers for our next generation to flourish. And tonight, I thank everyone involved in this leadership training at the University of Washington's Women's Center to honor our collective courage, our confidence, and our conviction to push forward together forever. Thank you.